The year is 970 BC. In Jerusalem's grand throne room, the wisest man alive kneels before foreign idols. Just years earlier, God had blessed him with divine wisdom that stunned the ancient world. Now, Solomon, the king who built God's temple, bows before pagan gods. This isn't just a story of failure. This is a warning about how the wisest man in history lost everything, and how his choices would tear apart the greatest kingdom Israel had ever known. Picture a young king, overwhelmed by the weight of following his father David's legacy. In a dream that would change history, God makes an extraordinary offer. Ask for whatever you want me to give you. 1 Kings 3:5. Solomon could have asked for anything: wealth, power, long life. Instead, his response revealed why God had chosen him. Give your servant a discerning heart to govern your people and to distinguish between right and wrong. For who is able to govern this great people of yours? 1 Kings 3:9. God was so pleased that he gave Solomon more than just wisdom. I will give you what you have not asked for, both wealth and honor, so that in your lifetime you will have no equal among kings. 1 Kings 3:13. Solomon's wisdom quickly became legendary. When two women claimed the same baby, his famous judgment revealed truth through compassion. The woman whose son was alive was deeply moved out of love for her son and said to the king, "Please, my lord, give her the living baby. Don't kill him." But the other said, "Neither I nor you shall have him. Cut him in two." 1 Kings 3:26. His reputation spread beyond Israel's borders. The Queen of Sheba herself traveled across deserts to test him. What she found left her breathless. The report I heard in my own country about your achievements and your wisdom is true. But I did not believe these things until I came and saw with my own eyes. Indeed, not even half was told me. 1 Kings 10:6-7. Solomon's kingdom reached heights Israel had never seen. Gold poured into his treasury. His wisdom produced thousands of proverbs. The temple he built for God stunned the ancient world. But with such glory came a test that would challenge even heaven's wisdom. Success often plants the seeds of its own destruction. Solomon, blessed with discernment beyond measure, began making choices that seemed wise by earthly standards. King Solomon was greater in riches and wisdom than all the other kings of the earth. 1 Kings 10:23. To secure his kingdom's borders, he began making alliances through marriage. One foreign princess after another entered Jerusalem. But these weren't just political unions, they were spiritual compromises. He had 700 wives of royal birth and 300 concubines, and his wives led him astray. 1 Kings 11:3. Each marriage brought not just a wife, but her gods. Slowly, subtly, the wisest heart in history began to divide. The man who built God's temple now watched as foreign altars rose across Jerusalem. Each compromise seemed small, each justification reasonable. But God saw what Solomon refused to see. As Solomon grew old, his wives turned his heart after other gods, and his heart was not fully devoted to the Lord his God, as the heart of David his father had been. 1 Kings 11:4. The same wisdom that had brought him glory now served only to rationalize his choices. On the hills surrounding Jerusalem, temples to foreign gods cast shadows over the city. He followed Ashtoreth, the goddess of the Sidonians, and Molech, the detestable god of the Ammonites. Solomon did evil in the eyes of the Lord. 1 Kings 11:5-6. God's response was both swift and devastating. "Since this is your attitude and you have not kept my covenant and my decrees, which I commanded you, I will most certainly tear the kingdom away from you and give it to one of your subordinates." 1 Kings 11:11. The consequences of Solomon's choices began to unfold. Enemies rose from every side. Hadad the Edomite, Rezon of Damascus. Even Jeroboam, Solomon's own servant, was chosen by God to lead the coming rebellion. "I will take the kingdom from his son's hands and give you 10 tribes." 1 Kings 11:35. Solomon, who had written countless proverbs about pride and wisdom, watched as his own warnings came true. The kingdom he had spent a lifetime building began crumbling at its foundations. After his death, his son Rehoboam's arrogance completed what Solomon's compromise had begun. The kingdom split. 10 tribes followed Jeroboam, leaving Solomon's heir with just 2 tribes. Israel would never be united again. The wisest man who ever lived left us with one final lesson: that wisdom without faithfulness is merely cleverness, and cleverness alone cannot save us. Solomon wrote his own epitaph years before his fall. Trust in the Lord with all your heart and lean not on your own understanding. Proverbs 3:5. He had leaned on his own understanding, and the greatest kingdom in Israel's history paid the price. Solomon's story warns us that no amount of wisdom can protect us when we compromise our core beliefs. If you want to understand more about how God deals with threats to humanity, watch our investigation of the Nephilim, beings so dangerous that God had to erase them from existence. And to witness another example of divine power, discover the story of the Ark of the Covenant, God's most powerful weapon that mysteriously vanished from history. Click above to watch these videos and see how God's intervention has shaped human history in ways most people never knew.